Okay, and finally, let's have a look at the cosine rule. So the cosine rule we're going to use when we have three sides, one angle. Of course, one of those we're going to find. Okay, so different to the sine rule. Two sides, two angles for the sine rule, three sides, one angle for the cosine rule. But first, let's have a look at the proof. So we have our triangle ABC, our sides, little a, little b, and little c. And as usual, I drop a perpendicular down to create two righted triangles. This here is no longer C. Okay, so let's be careful of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to call this little part here x, and this part here will be c minus x, considering the whole side c. So let's look at this triangle here first. I know that h squared plus x squared equals a squared. Similarly, using this triangle here, I know that h squared plus c minus x squared equals b squared. Okay, now I'm going to go and expand that bracket. And you will notice here I have h squared plus x squared, which I've said is a squared. So it's a squared there. And we're getting quite close. Our problem now is I have x involved. How can I get rid of x? Well, if I look at triangle CBD, so this one here, I know that cos B equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So x is actually the same as a cos B. So I'm going to put that in. So I know that a squared plus c squared minus 2c, x being a cos B, is b squared. So a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cos B equals b squared. And that's actually one version of the cosine rule. You know, with the cosine rule, a, b, and c can be used interchangeably. So if I had drawn my perpendicular a different way, so instead of dropping it down to AB, either dropping it here or dropping it over here, I would have got the three different versions. This version here is the one you'll be given on your formula sheet. If you then go and rearrange it to isolate cos C by itself, you'll have the formula rearranged, which makes it easier to find an angle. This is also given on your formula sheet. Take a moment now to go to the last page in your booklet and have a look at what's given. Okay, I've put a copy there for you. So we're going to work with these two rather than the one I've done. And let's do some problems. So first of all, we're going to sketch triangle ABC. Remembering sketch does not have to be to scale. Little a is 7.5, little b is 10.4, and angle C is 86 degrees. And the question asks me to find this side here. We notice we have three sides, one angle, so that tells us we're going to use cosine rule, and we're finding a side, so we're going to use this first formula here. So c squared will equal, it doesn't matter which one you call a and b, but technically that's opposite a, so let's stick to that. B there, c must be the one you're trying to find, a and b the other two sides. So we'll go a squared plus b squared, sort of starts like Pythagoras, then minus twice the product of those, times cos of angle C. Remember, this angle must be opposite the side you're trying to find. Mistake one, people try and do too much working here in bits parts. Just type the whole thing into your calculator, okay? Don't try and do bit by bit. So pause the video now and just try and type it all in. And hopefully you get the same answer. That's what c squared is. So now we're going to square root that. No rounding yet. Let's try and use that full answer on your screen. So we're just going to go square root, answer equals 4.3906, etc. And that will round to one decimal place, 12.4. Let's have a think about this. These are in meters. So this must also be in meters. Okay, example 2. Now let's try and find an angle. It asks us to find the largest angle in this triangle. Recall the largest angle is always opposite the largest side. So this is the angle I'm trying to find here. The smallest angle opposite the smallest side, etc. So now I'm thinking this is angle C, so this must be my little c. A and B doesn't matter. And we're going to use the cosine rule to find an angle. So cos of the angle will equal A squared plus B squared minus C squared. So this is the one you must minus, okay, the one that's opposite the angle, all over 2 times A times B. Now at this stage, I would type that into your calculator using the fraction button, and you should get a yucky decimal, but if you press your FD button, it'll create a nice fraction. Now I just need to cos inverse that. And again, I'm just going to go cos inverse of the answer. And I'll get 82.003, etc. But I need to go to degrees, minutes, seconds. So I press my DMS button. And I have 82 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12.27 seconds. So that will be 82 degrees. And I write the 0 minutes because that tells me that I actually have rounded to the nearest minute and not the nearest degree, even though it's in a 0. So make sure you include that. Okay, and finally, now for our little challenge problem. So again, I have 3 sides, 1 angle. So I know I'm using cosine rule. Plus, that's the topic of the day. So let's start by writing the cosine rule. So I know that this one here is my little c. So 13 squared will equal A squared. I'm calling this one A and this one B, plus B squared minus 2 lots of BC, AB, times cos of the angle between them, 60 degrees, cos C. Okay, so 13 squared is 169. When I square this, I need to be careful. Use FOIL if you're going to make a mistake and forget that middle term there. You might be lucky today, actually. Again, don't forget the middle term. And with this one here, this is a difference of 2 squares. So that will be x squared minus 16. And what's cos 60? Well, that's just a half using our exact value triangles. Now let's do some simplifying. So the 8x minus the 8x will disappear. This is times in here, so 2 times a half will be 1 whole. Now again, further simplifying, 169 is 2x squared plus 32 minus x squared minus 16, so plus 16, could be a common error there. And that will now go to 169 equals 2x squared minus x squared, 32 plus 16. Take the 48 to the other side. X squared now is 121. Quite convenient because when I take the square root of that, I only need to take the positive answer because let's think about that. If x is 11, let's just do both for a sec over here. X could equal 11 or minus 11. If x is 11, this is a side, so the sides would be 15 and 7. However, if x was minus 11, the sides would be negative 7 and negative 15, which is not possible. Sides must be positive. So maybe write both answers and then choose the one that makes sense. Okay, we're doing side lengths, so we need positive side lengths when we substitute them in. Okay, that's it that I'm going to do today. Recap: 2 sides, 2 angles, we use sine rule. 3 sides, 1 angle, use cosine rule. We'll go through some mixed problems in class. Have a read, feel free to work ahead. However, we will go through those in class as an example.